It's a pleasure to see all of you here. Again, my name is Bill Spear. I'm an associate professor in the business department. And for this session, what's most important is I'm the chair of the Energy Committee here in New London. And I have my team here as well. I'm very excited to see everyone here. It's not a particularly nice day. I was hoping we'd have sun. I thought it'd be a message from above. But maybe the message is we need our panels up first, then the sun will come out. It's being held captive. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for your interest. The fact that you're here says that you're at least intrigued by this technology, if not already committed. And so we have a very full agenda, but we have plenty of time. We have a lot of space. I hope you had a chance. I stole one of these. Hope you had a chance to enjoy one of the cookies or the brownies. Teddy Ordway from the Hole in the Fence made brownies using sweet potato and things like that. I recommend you try it on the way out if you haven't already. It's appropriate that we have this event here today. Colby Sawyer began a mission in 2010 to reduce its carbon footprint, and there's a lot that's happened. And I know Jen White is here. I hate to pick on anybody. She is our sustainability coordinator and could talk about this much more intelligently than I can. But the amount of activities that have occurred on this campus already is actually very impressive. And included in that is, this actually started as kind of a student initiative. It was and eventually evolved into something called Green Roots. In fact, in the summary I asked for, one of the comments they made is this campus isn't just run on renewable energy, it's also run on student energy. And this is a team that has developed a plan for us to be carbon neutral by 2050. And there are some interim goals as well, but we're already off to a very good start. All of the power here is renewable. Some of it we generate on site through 517 solar panels, which coincidentally was installed by our collaborative partner, Revision Energy. And that is coincidental. I say that because we actually selected Revision Energy through a competitive bidding process. And there was a team comprised of members from Andover, Wilmot, and New London, and we jointly selected Revision Energy as the partner we thought was best for this community. And so the power that we use that goes beyond what the solar panels are able to produce is compensated for by green energy credits. So we actually buy renewable energy credits to offset the carbon footprint that we create by using power. And so our power could be coming from the wind turbines in other parts of the state, but it is 100% renewable. We also, some other things we're doing here. You may have noticed a small wind turbine. And while that one's really more of an education tool than it is a source of significant power, it is the beginning. It's something we wanted to try, and I think it says a lot about our college. We have a sustainable classroom behind the building. If you have a minute after today's session, it's worth it just to go take a look at that building. Very impressive. It was student designed and student built. In fact, I found out recently that part of their capstone, their final exam for their capstone, was that they had to get approval from the town to build that building. So they designed it and they literally built it with help from some collaborative partners. Pretty impressive. The building just across and down the hall a little bit is a LEED certified silver level building. It's actually a preschool, and it's a teaching classroom for our elementary education students as well. And then finally, a couple things. We use zero sort recycling, and we also have a real passion for sourcing locally. 28% of all the food consumed here is sourced within 100 miles of this campus. And that's about to take another quantum leap as we reopen the lodge in January. That will be completely locally sourced, unless it's ketchup or something. We don't have a local ketchup manufacturer. But so a lot happening here. So this is the proper venue. Let me see, I don't want to misplace my notes and run on. I have a tendency to do that. For your safety, It's a no smoking environment, obviously. We have exits on both sides or in the back in case a fire suddenly breaks out. And I think that's it for safety. I can't think of anything else. And then what I'd like to do, if I can, is Janet Kidder is the chair of the select board in New London, and she would like to say a few words about the Solarize Kearsarge campaign.
On behalf of the town of New London, welcome. It's so wonderful to see you all here. New London has partnered with many different communities. In the past, we have a regional wastewater treatment partnership with the town of Sunapee. We do mutual aid with fire and that sort of thing. So it's wonderful to see that this is happening with Andover and Wilmot, and we're really pleased that Bill is spearheading this. And it's definitely, solar power is definitely an idea whose time has come. So hope you can learn a lot today, and again, thank you.
Excellent. And then I'd also like to introduce Tom Schamberg, who is the state representative for Wilmot and Sutton.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Janet. And thank New London and Andover for including Wilmot in this effort, this solar effort. We in Wilmot, especially on the Wilmot Conservation Committee, are excited to be part of the Solarize community model, because as we increase and expand our solar, it's the most effective and financially feasible way to expand residential solar and to go more green. And we're not going alone. We're 3 communities strong. In 2009, my wife and I, Joanne, we called a solar company in southern New Hampshire, or was it northern Mass? It doesn't matter. Their question to us was, where do you live? And I said, in Wilmot, near New London. And they said, we don't go that far north. And I'm going, I guess the sun doesn't shine up here. So what we did, we just looked around and we didn't find anything. So we now have the opportunity in New London, Andover, and Wilmot. Instead of solar someday, our someday is solar today. And we thank the Solarize committees, the energy committees of New London and Andover for their great work. And I would now like to introduce Vicki Mishkan. And if you notice something about her, she was 6 years on the Andover Select Board, and she's got the biggest smile in the world now because she's not running for office anymore.
Thanks, Tom. It is great to be a citizen again. You've heard all about the opportunity, so I won't repeat things. In Andover, our energy committee started when a group of citizens wanted to help residents and the town to come up with ways to be more green. Over the 3 years that our energy group has been active, we've changed that, we've improved that to, we want to become a model community for renewable energy, and we're working very hard toward that. We've had several workshops on helping people to button up their homes, which is a huge thing to do before you start doing all these installations. We've had workshops on geothermal. We had a workshop with Revision Energy on solar. That was a little less than 2 years ago. As a result of that workshop, we had 8 new solar installations in our little town of Andover. We're 2,300 people, so that's pretty good. We are on a roll. We have a lot of momentum, and this opportunity is huge for us to maintain that momentum, keep it going, and hopefully get a lot more people learning about it and able to take advantage of this terrific opportunity. So we are also very fortunate to have the support of the Andover Beacon, Charlie Darling, Jane Slayton, the principal of the Andover Elementary School, and the Board of Selectmen, who have helped us pass the word to people in town through our local television coverage, articles in the newspaper, all that kind of thing. And that has helped us to develop a list of at least 70 people in Andover who are either here today or are looking for more information. And I am thrilled with the turnout here today. So back to you, Bill.
Just to give you a little bit of background, we started this journey actually last summer, and the 3 teams started to work with the Vital Communities Group, specifically the Solarize Upper Valley Group, and Sarah Simmons, and we started to, first we formed a team, and I actually wanted just to take a minute to introduce those team members. From Andover, we have the Andover Energy Group, and I wonder if you could just stand and let people see who you are. You'll notice this group are wearing badges, so after this session, if you would, there's some shy people in the back too. After this session, you can look for anybody wearing a badge, and we can try to help you answer questions, although I think most people are really going to want to talk to Jonathan Gregory about specifics. And then we have the New London Energy Group. If you could stand, please. And we have some members that are out of state, unfortunately, this morning, so we're not, this isn't the full team. And then from Wilmot, our state representative, Tom Schamberg.
And Marion Allen over here. Marion, stand up, you're part of it.
Excellent.
Stand up.
Excellent. Reluctantly standing up, thank you. Excellent. So we got together, we started to develop our strategy, we came up with selection criteria, and again, this was all, the advantage to doing this now, I can't, if you've ever thought about going solar, I can't imagine a better time. What the Solarize Upper Valley Group provides is these best practices for what's important. How do you develop the criteria that you will use to evaluate different installers, and then how do you promote it to the community? Even this is very well choreographed, and that was the benefit that Sarah provided to us, is being able to say, here's what works, we know. Well, this is actually round 2 of Solarize Upper Valley. I won't say too much because I know Sarah wants to talk about this as well. This is an excellent opportunity. We've already gone through the due diligence process in selecting an installer, which is a very difficult part of this process. If you're doing this on your own, how do you know? How do you know if it's somebody you can trust? How do you know if you're going to get the best possible pricing and that the work will be high quality? And so hopefully, and I do believe the process works, I believe we've made the best possible choice right now. And then the next, I was wondering if people that have already gone solar in some way, if you could, let's stand up, if you have some kind of solar system on your house, hot water or electric. Excellent. Very good. Okay, so this shows us the opportunity. Everybody who is sitting, and even some of us standing. I have solar hot water. I don't have solar electric yet, so Jonathan will definitely be coming to my house. And but that's the opportunity. There is a wonderful opportunity here to really make a difference. Let's see. And how did everyone get involved? It actually started, our energy committees are already meeting. We had our own agenda, and then the opportunity came out to say, what if we collaborated? What if we went beyond the boundaries of our towns and actually worked with other people to partner? It was a very rewarding experience. It was wonderful to have that much more critical mass to make things like this happen. And my voice isn't changing that much. It's the technology here. Okay, so one thing I would like to talk about is, I believe most of you actually filled out the little green piece of paper as you came in. If you didn't, please be sure to do that and leave it with us. It's a way that we can contact you and tell you about other things that are coming up in the near future. The white piece of paper you have, the small one, is for you to take home and share with a friend or neighbor, somebody that you think would benefit from what we're talking about today. And then the large flyer is the information. It gives you some background, including some general pricing structures. Wow, I'm really sorry for suddenly yelling. But the way the pricing works is the more of us that sign up, the better our rate becomes to a certain point, and Jonathan will talk more about that shortly. You'll also find handouts outside in the hallway, different things to pick up, so take a look at that as well. And then, so our agenda right now, we want to introduce Sarah, and then Jonathan's going to come up and talk to us about the services they offer, what the process looks like, things of that nature, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers after that. So I'd like to, I think I'm at the point where I can introduce Sarah Simmons, and from the Vital Communities and from Solarize Upper Valley.
Thank you, Bill. I'll try and get this microphone to work properly. So as Bill mentioned, my name is Sarah Simons. I run the energy program at Vital Communities. And for those of you who don't know us, we're a nonprofit based over in White River Junction, Vermont, but we actually serve a 69-town region in the whole upper valley of Vermont and New Hampshire. And we are currently sitting at about the eastern edge of the area that I work in. And we run Solarize Upper Valley as a program. We've been doing this for about a year now. In the spring, we helped 120 homeowners go solar in 5 towns in our pilot round. We think we can at least double that, if not more, this round, because it's not just you. There's actually 7 other towns launching this next week. So it's a whole wave across the Upper Valley right now going solar, and we will be keeping you up to date with how the other communities are doing, and I think you've got a shot to beat them all, so that's really up to you. If you all make sure to fill out that little green slip, at least your email, so the volunteer can let you know about upcoming events. And if you're ready to request a site visit, I would very much encourage you to do that right now. We've run these programs before, and I promise you, you're going to want to get in early with a site visit request if you want to have Jonathan or his team come out to your house or give you a call. So I won't take up any more time. You can find me after if you've got questions about Vital Communities, and I will maybe pass it directly to Jonathan. Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay, Jonathan.
Those are prized possessions. Thank you all for coming out this morning. I know these days in the tail end of summer and beginning of fall, we all have a lot of chores to knock off our list before we hunker down for the winter time. So thanks for coming out. We'll try to make this as quick as possible. I'm going to go through several slides here to give you a better oversight of who Revision Energy is, what we're looking to do with Solarize, how that will play out, and how to get involved. And we'll follow that up with a session of questions and answers. So please hold your questions for now, and then we will address those shortly. So I'd first like to give thanks to Bill and the rest of the volunteers that are part of Solarize Kearsarge. They have already done a whole lot of work just to get us to this point, to get us all here in this room together. So please, if you see them around your town or talking to them after this event, thank them for all the efforts that they're doing on your behalf. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind more people joining up on the volunteer side. So if you're interested to get more involved, reach out to your local organizers and see what you can do to make that happen. For the next 4 months or so, I'm looking forward to working with all of them very closely, getting to learn about them on a personal level, get a deeper sense of relationship, and really making solar the backbone of community activity here in your 3 towns. So, my name is Jonathan Gregory, and I am here today to speak on behalf of all my friends and colleagues at Revision Energy. Since 2003, we have been working tirelessly as a group of individuals to raise awareness about our invisible enemy, which is greenhouse gas emissions. And what we've been striving for is to allow people to understand the opportunities of how solar technology offers an environmentally sound, reliable, and economically rich solution that we can put together to use today. Over the years since 2003, we've successfully installed over 4,000 high-quality solar energy systems throughout New Hampshire and Maine. Each of our 80-plus employees, some of which are here pictured at our last annual meeting, are dedicated to serving our greater mission of transitioning northern New England from fossil fuel sources to clean, renewable solar energy. Folks at Revision Energy sincerely take a lot of pride in this sense of purpose, and we also revel in the fact that we all get to share ownership stake in the company's professional reputation and our long-term business success. So, why are we all here? I'm assuming that some of you are here because we do share a similar sense of purpose. That purpose, I'm sure, is likely to be unique among everybody's individuals, your personal motivations. But when it comes down to it, I believe that we're all here because we understand that our current model of energy distribution, of consumption of those energy sources, is an unsustainable one, and that we see there being a better way forward. And solar offers us that clear pathway forward. Not only will solar reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, many of which are not domestically produced, it will limit line loss from the transmissioning of electricity from centralized power plants out to rural areas. So we'll have less waste of the fossil fuel energy sources. And it will help the utilities out, believe it or not. Solar directly corresponds with peak load conditions. And the more distributed solar energy sources we have, we really are helping the utilities out. And bottom line is we'll all save a whole bunch of money in the process. So that's always nice too. So becoming a solar energy producer comes with many perks. You can ask some of the folks here today that have solar energy systems of themselves. I'm sure they will be more than happy to express their positive experiences in owning solar array and working with Revision Energy, which many of them have been our satisfied customers. As many of us have heard over the last couple of weeks, the utilities are planning to increase our electrical rates. I was given a handout from the New Hampshire Electric Co-op this morning talking about that 12% or so increase in rates. A lot of that is driving greater interest in solar energy. At the end of the day, those rate increases are something that we all have to deal with, and it does burden our lifestyles, and something's got to give at the end of the day. So as we all work together, solar, we need to keep in mind, allows us to take control of some of those cost of living expenses, and allows us to be more free and ownership of what we do with our lives outside of just paying the bills. So solar will reduce and stabilize your cost of living. It will also benefit the greater good. It's what we call a win-win situation, and everybody's a fan of win-win situations. So I've gotten asked a lot over the years, not so much as recently when we have more and more people going solar, but I get asked a lot, do we have enough sunshine to make it work for our energy needs? This is a great visual that shows the finite resources of energy that we have: natural gas, petroleum, uranium, coal, versus some of our renewable energy resources that we know we have: wind, biomass, hydro, geothermal. These circles represent the total amount of energy that we know to be available here on Earth. As you can see, this big overriding yellow circle would be our solar potential. Matter of harnessing that energy. We have the technology that allows us to do that today. And as you can see, that solar energy is by far the largest source that we have available to us. And being renewable, not finite, there's a great opportunity for us to take advantage of that abundant energy source and reduce our carbon impacts on the environment. This is also a great pictorial. You know, after people ask me about, well, is there enough sunshine? They say, well, is there enough sunshine in Hampshire? Which is a great question because we all, you know, suffer together through some of those cold, dark winter days and sometimes question whether the sun is going to come back out. But when you look at it, this map here is basically showing the amount of sunshine that falls in the form of kilowatt hours over the course of the year, with your darker reds and oranges being the higher side and your whites being on the lower side. You can see here in New Hampshire and in New England, we do enjoy a middle ground scenario. This puts us in, I think a fair and equitable position to capture that sun's energy. Now, when we compare ourselves to the Southwest, that we certainly have a lot of sunshine and are collecting a lot of it already to power homes. And when we compare ourselves to other countries like Germany here on the left side, we're sitting pretty good. Germany we use as a representative because they are actually leading the world right now in solar adoption. They have 33% less sun energy over the course of a year than we do here in New England. Yet they produce 7 times, or I think it's more like 6 times more solar energy than the entire United States. So if they can make it work in Germany, now they do have some political trade-offs that allow them to work the system, but the technology is working and it applies, and there's many folks in Germany that are enjoying that renewable resource. So for us here in New England, we're doing quite well for ourselves. Also keep in mind that comparatively, even though we get 33% less energy than the Southwest does, our energy expenses here in the Northeast, because we are somewhat sheltered from the rest of the grid, our energy expenses are roughly 30 to 40% greater than the rest of the country. So even with a little bit less sunshine, we have a high economic return opportunity. So I think it's safe to say that we can make it work. So how does solar PV, otherwise known as solar electricity, work? So you got the sunshine up here. I should have put a little image of a smiley face sunshine up here, but the sun shines down on your solar panels, which are on your roof or on your ground. The photons of the sun, as they hit the panels, they produce free-moving electrons. Those electrons are then essentially what we refer to as DC energy. That DC energy, as we flow it down, we'll send it through an inverter. That inverter converts that DC energy into usable AC energy, which is what we use in all of our homes and businesses. Once through that inverter, it gets sent through our distribution panels in the house. You know, those gray boxes that we rarely check out down in the basement. Once it's into that distribution panel, energy will move and power directly any on-demand energy electrical demands that you have in site. So if your lights are on, your refrigerator, charging a computer or whatnot, that solar array on your roof in real time is going to directly power those energy loads. Now if you're producing more electricity in any given moment than what you're consuming in the house, the electricity will flow through your utility meter, and the meter has bilateral capabilities and will actually spin your meter backwards. This is how we get credits earned on our utility account. And this is why solar is making so much sense these days, because we don't need batteries to store excess energy. We just get a simple accounting measure that will allow us to reserve those kilowatt hours for future use, which could be that night when the sun is down and your lights are on, or it could be months down the line. Those energy credits are held to you in perpetuity. So New Hampshire does enjoy a very robust and what I believe to be fair net metering policy here, where those credits are full retail value. So when you look at your utility bill and you see how many kilowatt hours you've consumed, there's certain charges applied against those kilowatt hours. That full retail value of all those added up is what the value of solar electricity is to you. Those credits are owed to you in perpetuity, so you can carry them forward for months on end. We do like to net zero that out over a 12-month period. As the sun comes back out again, we want to have you to be able to store up credits again once more for that year. But if you do produce more than what you consume over a 12-month period, you won't lose that value. So the only, and I should note, the only charge there left on your utility bill will be that flat rate customer charge. I think for electric co-op members, it's around $26. For PSNH customers, it's usually around $12. And some of the other utilities have variable rates as well. That's a flat rate that solar does not offset, so you can assume that that's going to be a constant. What we're looking to do is offset all those rate-based expenses that you have associated with consumption. All right. So with some of those basics aside, some of that might have been review for some of you. That might be all new stuff, and I'm happy to go into more detail with how the technology works. But I know we're all here for Solarize Kearsarge. Very excited to be personally involved in this, as well as have Revision be your go-to source for that. So how are the residents of Andover, New London, and Wilmot going to benefit from the Solarize program? First of all, we define a Solarize participant by those of you who are in that residential base who do sign up to go solar with Revision Energy between now and January 31st of 2015. You will benefit directly, besides all the social, cultural benefits of doing these kind of things with your neighbors and friends and colleagues. We have this tiered pricing structure that we've created that will tier down as the solar capacity of everybody's collective system sizes increase. The base price will decrease accordingly. We do fully expect to be up at the top tiers. We've seen that success in other Solarize models, and with our wonderful volunteers here in this group, which Sarah did claim is creating the gold standard of volunteerism. So we're all in very good hands with that. This tiered pricing structure is based on our baseline system. Now we do have adders that will apply if a site has some difficulties or special requirements, or if an individual chooses to upgrade to certain other technologies. We do have adders that apply, and there's a separate document that can be found on Vital Community's website, and we'll also certainly have that available to everybody as we work through that system. But this baseline pricing is based on the most basic system that we have going for us. We've got some example estimated base costs here for a typical 5 kilowatt system. Now we have a lot of residents here that will likely need larger than 5 kilowatts for their energy needs. We have residents that will need less. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what system size one needs or what system size one wants to invest in. Solar has the capacity to reduce up to 100%, and you're able to choose anywhere in between 0 and 100% as far as what kind of an investment you want to make. But we use 5 kilowatts typically as an example because that tends to be our average. So I won't go through all of this, but we do have your base price, your federal tax credit, your state rebate, and your total cost after those incentives. Now for folks who are New Hampshire Electric Co-op members, the co-op does have a rebate as well. we won't know the exact details of that until January of this coming year, but we will base some of our pricing for those customers off of this past year's program. Also available are several financing options, and this is an example of how some of our financing options would play out in terms of monthly expenses, so you can get a sense for not having to put that money all up front, but converting that monthly electric expense into a monthly loan payment. And you can see they're fairly affordable rates based on this pricing structure. So from a pure financial perspective, the return on investment for solar has gotten to a point, honestly, that we've got financial bankers calling us up, ready to go. I'm sure we might have a few of those kind of folks here today, and they're saying, yep, I've looked at the numbers, I see that it looks good. At the end of the day, going solar is a low-risk commitment to long-term energy savings that will result in high economic returns. This is an example here of a typical return on investment chart that we do for folks for a system similar to that 5 kW range. You take your existing energy demands, and then with solar added to the mix, we're reducing those baseline consumption levels, locking yourself into a low fixed rate of electrical expense rather than the escalating rate that we see historically utilities charging, and then typically trying to set that system up for a large percentage of your overall energy demands. That is specific to each individual site and investment. Again, we can't do 100% very effectively for most folks. Some folks we do less than that. One special note I think worth mentioning up here is the rates at which one currently is paying for electricity versus once you've made that one-time investment in solar, you're really locking yourself in over a 25 period into a much lower rate. Fixed, predictable expenses allow for you to plan your budget more accordingly, and really allow yourself to put those hard-earned dollars to things that you really want to be doing. So if you're still pondering whether solar is actually affordable to you, I ask you to give yourself a chance to look at the numbers that we're presenting here in the Solarize program and outside of the Solarize program. If we have any folks here not in the 3 towns, certainly the numbers are still going to stand very strong, and we encourage you to reach out to Revision Energy to see what your potential is. A combination of widespread global demand for solar as well as manufacturing scale of economics over the last decade or so have really resulted in a solar industry now that's considered a classic home improvement that's both financially viable and attainable. So whether you've got some money stashed aside, have a home equity line of credit, or just have a decent credit score, solar is within reach. As mentioned before, and you may have already seen the flyers out on the tables, Revision Energy and Vital Communities are offering up a number of financing options for folks here to help them afford to go solar. So please take a look at those handouts if you didn't get a chance. So today is the launch of Solarize Kearsarge, and I thank you all again for coming out. Believe it or not, we've only got about 100 days to make the most of this opportunity and working together. So I definitely encourage as many of you to sign up early so that we can work through those conversations and dialogues. People don't necessarily make commitments right away. They need time to think about it. And our staff at Revision are prepared to work with you through those discussions. But it is a short period of time that we're all working here together to maximize our potential. The next 2 slides are our typical overlay of one's road to solar. As a matter of process here for Solarize Kearsarge, we'll be following up with everyone who requests site visits today and this coming week. Throughout the program, we aim for response times for new inquiries in a 48-hour period. But considering the number of folks here today, I think we can all assume that this initial wave of inquiries may require a little bit of flexibility on that, but we will be working tirelessly over the next week to engage every one of you on a personal level. We expect you, as the homeowner or the business owner, to engage back with our staff. What we're looking to do is better understand through a phone conversation, an initial conversation, 15 minutes or so, to better understand the specifics of your site. We look up your property on satellite images to identify your property, your house orientation, whether it's a roof mount or a ground mount. We want to better understand your energy needs. We'll likely request a digital copy of an electric bill, if that's capable. And we always want to know, what you're motivated by, what you're looking to achieve, what your goals are. That helps us get a better sense for where your real potential lies. So those initial conversations will allow us to put together preliminary proposals. Those preliminary proposals are fairly accurate. We're usually, because we've done it so many times, fairly close to what the real potential is. Issuing preliminary proposals off of a 15-minute conversation will give you an opportunity to, almost instantaneously see what your potential is. And based on your review of that, we will set up physical site visits with each of you. Doing a preliminary proposal followed by a site visit allows us to, be the most efficient with everybody's time. During a site visit, we'll have the opportunity to verify all the information in the preliminary proposal, make any necessary adjustments that we didn't foresee, answer any questions that you have about the technology, about the installation process, and about the Revision Energy installation crews, which, by the way, are all in-house staff. We don't work with any subcontractors at Revision Energy. It's a huge asset that we've, made that human investment, human capital investment in to secure master electricians, master plumbers, have our own apprenticeship programs. It's a model that we are committed to and usually gives us, a nice competitive advantage over those that are using subcontractors. I think it's a matter of quality control and trust in that relationship. So we work through the whole entire process from learning, what your situation is, to doing a site visit, to defining a specific game plan for you. From there, we work through contracts. I think it's important to note here, just so everybody's on the same game plan, that our proposals will be based on the Tier 1 pricing structure, specific to your baseline cost adders as they apply. Proposals will be based on that Tier 1 cost, and then there will be an attachment in those proposals that will show the breakdown of your potential savings as those tiers are achieved. As commitments come into us, we will put contracts together based again on that Tier 1 pricing, and then issue everybody the appropriate credit on those final deposits based on the level of discounts that are achieved. Again, remember that all commitments must come in to somebody at Revision Energy by January 31st of 2015. I can't stress that date enough. I fully expect to be getting calls at 5 o'clock on that day, but I'm hoping that some of us can be a little bit more proactive. One last note is that we work through all the paperwork with each and every one of our customers. It's pretty much a hands-free process for you. We fill out all the necessary applications for the permitting, with the utilities, with the state rebates, with the utility rebates. We handle all of that with you. We've got great staff that do these applications on a daily basis, and they can put them together very efficiently. All we ask is that you put your signature on the appropriate places. And here's an example of a happy, satisfied family at the end of the day, which we have over 4,000 of those. So you wouldn't be alone. We're almost done here. So again, this is something that Bill has already mentioned, and I'm sure you spoke specifically with some of the volunteers and maybe have already filled them out. For those of you just looking to stay engaged, to get email updates from the volunteers and from Vital Communities, just put your name and email in there and just check off the appropriate box for what you want to sign up for. If you want to have a connection with Revision Energy to learn about your potential, check that next box and fill out all the below information. I can't stress enough trying to write as legible as you can. We've got a great group of volunteers from Colby Sawyer that are going to be helping us upload this information into a document, and in legible handwriting, is always a challenge for us on that end. So if you find that maybe it might be a little tough to read, feel free to use the back side of those pages to redo it or to put further information as you see fit. That's about it for me. I think we'll take some questions now. How do you want to do this, Sarah? Do you want me to just point out
And make sure you repeat the questions.
Yeah. All right. Oh, geez. You're in the orange because you got a bright shirt and you stand out.
You said a January 31st contract confirmation. When will the work actually be done? When is the outside, I mean, am I going to sign up for it by January 31st and not get it done until January 1st of next year? Or what are the time frames in terms of getting it done?
Good question. And something I didn't speak to specifically in the proposal, but the question was, commitments come in by January 31st. When can we all expect to have those systems installed? Our game plan here is to have a 120-day period in which we get a commitment from individuals to when the system is installed. So depending on when your level of commitment comes in to us, you will be placed on the schedule immediately, and we'll put in our project queue. 120 days would be 4 months down the line. So for folks that make a commitment in November, you're looking at systems likely to be in March. For folks that make commitments later in January, you're looking, out into June or so. Either way, we are ramping up our crews, our installation crews, to do the best to service everybody in a timely manner. We will be clustering as many groups as we can. I fully expect there to probably be some neighborhood groups that form within this group, where we might have 2, 3, 4 people on the same street that all make commitments. And certainly from our perspective, if we can group all those folks, even if they didn't make a commitment at the same time, if we can group those all in a very consolidated manner, that helps us out on our end. One special note is for systems that are ground mounted rather than roof mounted. We will be taking those on a project by project basis, as to when the ground and the space is appropriate for those kind of installations. Right here.
2 quick questions. One, what's so sacred about the January 31st date? And I'm outside of the 3 town areas, so how does any of what you just said apply to me?
Good questions. So January 30, the question was regarding the deadline, January 31st, and what occurs if you aren't in Andover, New London, or Wilmot. The January 31st date is a date that Vital Communities, as well as everybody that's kind of involved in it, decided upon. Honestly, the date for a deadline is really just to give customers that extra edge of commitment. People act usually when there's a deadline involved. Otherwise, things can get extended. So we're really trying to encourage people to make a commitment and to move forward. Regarding folks that are in the room and that all of you speak with that aren't in the 3 towns, I certainly recommend that you still reach out to Revision Energy. Let them know that you heard about Solarize, that you're in the town of Sunapee or in Sutton, or any other town that's around here, and that you're interested to learn about what your solar potential is. I think from the program basis, we've done it specifically to these 3 towns, and we'll use the pricing structure for everybody who participates in the town. If you are outside the town, we will be offering very fair and competitive rates according to your own potential.
John, isn't one of the reasons for the deadline too that some of the tax credits are going to drop off the face of the earth next year? So we have to move quickly?
Yes, but no.
Okay. You're hoping they'll be replaced?
Well, the federal tax credit is good through 2016. So as long as your system is installed before 2016, that 30% federal tax credit will apply. We may not think 2016 is right around the corner, but in the solar world, it is. The state rebate is on a year-to-year basis, fiscal year being in July. I'm fairly confident the state rebate is not going to change over the next couple of years. If anything, it may be reduced, but I expect that it will stay around. So that's, in terms of deadlines, not so big of a deal. So, in the back there in the black.
You talked about briefly about resale value for like homes. Do you have any hard and fast numbers showing like home improvement to resell a house?
Yep. I was doing a site evaluation for a real estate agent yesterday. We had this conversation, and it's a conversation that I have with a lot of folks in the industry, with town appraisers, with banks. We're still at a point here that there's no clear metric as to specific value of a size solar array to the resale value of a home. There is some data analysis, mostly coming from the West Coast, that does showcase metrics in the terms of for every dollar you can save, you can increase your home value by $10 to $20, which for a 5 kilowatt system would be in a $10,000 to $20,000 increase in value. We do have a growing collaboration of the National Appraisers Institute, the National Board of Realtors, and the solar industry that are working together to fine-tune these metrics so that it's easier for local appraisers and real estate agents to define solar, which I don't see any different than putting insulation into one's home and being more energy efficient. So see how that plays out. At the end of the day, there's certainly marketability, and that's what I can't stress enough. When you have 2 comparable homes that have all the great features that somebody's looking for, one energy bill is $1,000 plus a month, and one doesn't have an energy bill. From a new homeowner's perspective, you're going to see, I think, some leniency towards the house that's gone through those energy efficiency measures or has renewable energy, because the operational expenses are now lower. They can afford to live in that house. So, right here.
2 questions. Really reliability.
We'll get to you next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could you talk a bit about what 5 kW means? I buy my power by kilowatt hour.
Yep.
Is that how much it produces during the first part of the day? How much you get over a day? What does the 5 kW mean? Also, what kind of a load does this impose on the roof? Lay on. Also, does it complicate things if one has a standby generator on your site? It goes on automatically with the transfer switch?
Yep.
And finally, do you need a building permit? That's 4.
4 questions. All right. Well, let me try to remember these. What was the first one again? No. So I'll try to go through these. I know that there was, the first question was about what is a 5 kW system? A 5 kW system for, XYZ house on, in Andover may not be the same 5 kW system on XYZ road in New London. Every site has its own shading impacts. Every site's got its own solar efficiency. So one system to the next is really going to depend on the specifics of that site. Typically what a 5 kW system translates into is roughly 5,000 to 6,000 kilowatt hours of energy over the course of a 12-month period, which at electric rates will come out to be around $1,000 per year, or comparatively offset around a $80 a month electric bill. Those are in average situations. So again, that's going to be site specific. Through the proposal process, we will define what a 5 kW looks like specific to your site's opportunities. Regarding roof loads, for a typical solar installation, we are only adding 2 to 3 pounds per square foot. Being in the Northeast, most construction of homes are more than capable to have 2 to 3 pounds added to their load. Now what we're able to do in the process, if you don't already have a metal roof, is actually improve the shedding of snow. Compared to an asphalt shingle roof, solar panels act like a metal roof in which they are slick and they are conductive. So as soon as that snowstorm comes and the sunshine comes back out, we see snow melt and fall off rather rapidly. A lot of that depends on, again, your exposure to the sun as well as the pitch of the roof. But we are improving the loads on those roofs during the winter time, typically with a solar installation. Your third question. Generators, yes. Generators and then permits, thank you. What's that? Yeah.
You're going to have gas or fuel, such as oil. The generator can be done 2 different ways. With gas can be an automatic kick-in.
Yep.
But if we've got, with oil, we've got to fill it up with, we've got a gasoline type generator we have to fill up and then connect the cage.
Yeah. So everybody's got crazy setups in the homes. I know, there's not one straightforward way that we have our electrical set up in a house. In terms of generators, most people have generators at this point, and if you don't, you're probably considering one. The funny thing is, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had. Once people invest in a generator, the power never goes out again. Not always true, but I've certainly heard it, and it can be humorful. But nonetheless, there's always an appropriate way to deal with generators on site. We have some streamlined electrical connection processes that allow us to deal with generators that don't require any additional work. The simple matter is that tying in our solar arrays, should your site allow for it, above your disconnect switch of your main panel on the supply side of your distribution panel allows us to protect the solar array and the inverter from any generator power. That's usually the most typical way that we're able to do that. Every site, again, is a little different, but usually not a problem and can typically always be dealt with appropriately. Permitting is always dealt with from our staff standpoint. Every town's got a little bit different of a process. I know New London has a little bit more work involved in terms of getting things in by a certain date, and having certain applications in there comparatively to Andover, which, unless things have changed, doesn't even have a building inspector. So, but we handle all that paperwork. So, I owe you a question here.
Those are good questions. Mine too had to do with what's the reliability factor and what's the expected lifetime. And where are your panels made?
Yep.
US or China?
So question about the panels and the technology, reliability, lifetime, and sourcing of those components. Three simple ways to break down a typical solar and PV installation is you got the panels, which everybody sees and associates as, that's the system. Then you've got the inverter, which is really the workhorse, converting that DC energy into AC energy. And then you've got all the balance of systems, which is the electrical wires, the racking, the hardware, and whatnot. The panels themselves come with a 10-year warranty from the manufacturer. That's pretty much straight across the board, no matter who you're buying it from. And they come with a 25-year production warranty, which guarantees that they produce at least 80% of their original capacity 25 years down the line. We fully expect panels to operate 25 to 40 years. Just over that time, they're going to produce a little bit less energy. The inverters, they come with a 10-year warranty. You can buy an extension from most manufacturers to cover it up to 20 years. Our engineers are very confident that most inverters on the market have a 15 to 20-year lifespan. That is the one component in a system that everybody should expect to have to repair or replace sometime down the line. If anything does go wrong with it in that first 10-year period, it should be covered under warranty.
Do they use any kind of batteries at all to recharge the batteries? Or?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Good question though. And then everything else in the system, your electrical, your hardware, that's all really built for a 50-year period of time, which is pretty typical, of anything of that nature. So we do expect these systems to be 30, 40-year systems, with minimal maintenance and repair on them. As far as sourcing goes, pretty much everything is American made in the system. All your electrical, all your racking and hardware, the inverters, especially your labor is American. You can't send a house over to China and put solar panels on it and send it back. Panels themselves, which do represent about 50% of the total cost of a system, are really a global commodity at this point. We have some U.S. manufacturers, a lot of which have gone out of business over the last 5 years in competition with China entering the market. We offer the full realm of it. We offer Chinese, we offer Asia, we offer U.S. products. So depending on your preference, depending on what you're motivated by in terms of budget and costs, we have a solution for everything. I got time for one more question. Looks like this one really wants it here. Standing seam is actually something that we really look forward to doing. We don't need to make any penetrations on a standing seam roof. We just have clamps that go right to the seams. They are a special attachment that costs a little bit more, but we typically are able to get that system done a little bit more efficiently. So nice to have standing seam, but whether you've got standing seam, corrugated, asphalt shingle, really anything, we have the capabilities to do it. If you got a slate roof, we'll have a specific conversation about it. No. If a standing seam roof was installed correctly, there's not going to be an issue. I know there's a lot of other questions. Wish we had more time. We will have more time. I will be here as well as two of my colleagues out in the hallway to answer questions. And certainly, if you're signing up to engage with revision on another level, we will be able to answer all those questions at that time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Then just one other opportunity. Dave Harris from the New London Energy Committee actually went solar quite a few years ago, and he would just like to talk just for a minute about how this is different from his experience.
I had a solar installation done about 9 years ago, And the proposal on the projector here is about 1/4 the cost of my installation 9 years ago. It's really a good opportunity.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you. Again, we'll keep you posted of additional events as they come up, and hope that a lot of you do go with our Solarize Upper Valley and Solarize Kearsarge campaign. Thank you very much.